So this is not a racial joke in any way, shape, or form. It's only formed in the form of a racial joke by those who want to make me look bad. There's nothing racial even described in the joke.
This is just a reminder that this is a 4-part commentary series, and if you haven't seen the previous 3 videos, I would recommend that you go and watch them for the full context.
Possibly. I have to talk to him. We haven't scheduled it out yet, but he seemed pretty open to the possibility of appearing on the Level 1 podcast and talking all about what his process was going into making this thing and all kinds of stuff about it. I'm fascinated. I really am. I'm fascinated about the entire process of doing a crazy, insanely huge documentary like this. I'm curious to hear about what his plans are for the future. I respect the guy a lot, even though he made one on me. I knew my time was coming. You know what I mean? Like, I knew my time in the public eye, the firing line was coming. Other people have already done these about me, but I knew he was going to do like the biggest one ever. And fair enough. I mean, why do you think that I did the big reveal about WWE champions yesterday? Because I respect the guy. That's why. I didn't do it for anyone else's documentary. I did it for him. All right?
He wants to act as though he respects June and wants his video to do well, and that's why he revealed his WWE champion selling or whatever. What he doesn't seem to realize though, or maybe he just doesn't care about, is that by doing this, he's probably taken away views from June. If he really wanted to do this well, and he really respected June, then he would have come clean to June when he asked him about it. That way, this documentary could have been the definitive DSP documentary. Had he have just come clean to June when he asked about it, that information could have been put into the content. It could have been a one-stop shop for all of the information that you need to know about DSP. Had he have done it this way, it would have made it all the more believable to the viewers as well, because June had to have vetted all of the information that was going into the documentary. So by allowing June to spread this misinformation, these lies, I think that it would have went that much further. But since he wanted to do it by himself, since he wanted to profit off of this big reveal, I think this story was entirely unbelievable and honestly fell quite flat. That's before even addressing the fact that it was incredibly disrespectful for DSP to be lying not only to his fans the entire time, but to June when he was asked directly man-to-man in private conversations.
Let's continue, everyone.
Go is a website that scours Phil's massive catalog of tens of thousands of videos.
So Pig Go, just think about how insane and unhinged this is. I'm a little rinky-dink streamer guy. I'm not a big guy, a popular guy who, I'm not a giant PewDiePie. I'm not a Moist Critical. I'm not one of these guys who has an insane fan base, who they want to know every time someone did something. These are people who hate me, who are making this. Someone made a search engine to apparently search all of the videos, see keyword and video title for phrases that I've said. All right, let's see where this is going. This is insane to me. I don't know about you. It's pretty insane to me. So let's see where this is going.
Well, those other big creators that he mentioned don't lie nearly as much, so a search engine like Go would be almost useless when it comes to them. Those other creators also don't have over 60,000 videos uploaded either, and that's the real reason that Go has to exist. DSP has put out so much slop content out onto the internet that trying to find any specific part or topic is nearly impossible without something like Go. And it's for that reason alone I can't even see Go as a negative, because there was nothing stopping authentic DSP fans from using the site in a positive manner. Go, aside from the name, is entirely neutral and is simply a tool to help sift through the sea of shit that DSP has uploaded over the past 16 years.
Of
The
course.
next stream, Phil was quick to try to find a different trend.
Now, my wife had a crazy suggestion. All right, I know people are immediately gonna jump on this, but because it's fucking stupid and embarrassing. But my wife said, if you hit a tier 2 tip skull, here's what you should do. You guys ready for this? This is her 100%. This was her suggestion. All right, you ready? I don't remember this. Oh no, not the chair.
Spinning in his chair as a reward did not catch on. Phil just kept the articles of clothing as standard reward for the tip skull.
It was so
Yet, with the
stupid.
streak gone, so was all the hype, and Phil's earnings dipped once more.
I don't know how many of you out there have or have had a significant other. There's no way for me to know that. But I would like to assume that all of you are smart enough to know that the way that he just handled that was not ideal, to say the least. He, in a desperate attempt to continue the tips goal grift, asked his wife for an idea, and despite not liking her idea, he shared it with his entire audience, putting her down the entire time. There was just no reason to bring it up if he thought that it was stupid beforehand, and there definitely was no reason to clarify that the dumb idea was entirely hers and hers alone. If he was so embarrassed by the idea, why did he bring it up at all? So that he could throw his wife under the bus? He couldn't even communicate the idea without talking about how stupid it was and putting it down. Husband of the decade over there.
Censored was his face, the expiry date, street address, and license ID. What Phil then did was post this email to his secret moderator Discord.
Secret moderator Discord? It's literally just a Discord where my moderators talk. It's not secret. It's because we need to talk somewhere about moderation of the streams, right? He's at the secret moderator Discord, like it's some kind of a clandestine place. But let me tell you, the secret moderator Discord is really boring. We don't really talk that much in there when we do. It's usually about the streams. Every once in a while, we're cordial. We talk about each other's lives, but it's just like a bunch of guys hanging out and just saying, hey, what happened on stream today? Can you help me moderate today? Can we do this? Can we do that? It's not a secret Discord.
How does he not understand that everyone calls it the secret moderator Discord because that's the meme and what he often refers to it as when it's brought up? That specific Discord server isn't really known by any other name, so if June was going to talk about it and that's how it's known by those who are aware of its existence, using the name secret moderator Discord is the most concise way to call it. And he thinks that because no one talks in it and it's used primarily for moderation, that it immediately makes the descriptor secret invalid, but that's just not the case. The fact that he denied its existence for years, going as far as to say that he doesn't even use Discord at all, is the reason that secret is actually the most apt descriptor possible. The contents of said chat are completely irrelevant for the most part.
Following this, and Anonymous's departure, Phil had to defend his doxing of PW Dubs and his secret Discord.
So his question specifically is, why didn't you ever mention that you had a Discord? We asked you before if you use Discord and you said no. Because it's my moderator Discord. It's none of anyone's business if I have something for my business behind the scenes running to be used for business purposes. The question was, do I have a public Discord? Do I have a Discord people can join and talk to me? No. I can have a private Discord if I want. I can have 10 private Discords if I want. I could have a fleet of 100 servers connected together, all with secret moderator Discords, and it's my prerogative to do that, and it's none of your fucking business. Why are you even care, and why are you asking me dumb questions? Mind your own fucking business.
I agree with Phil, actually. He is allowed to be in Discord servers if he wants. He can have mod servers and private conversations on Discord. All of that is allowed. I just don't know why he insisted on being so deceitful about it, because that's where the issues really start to arise. I'm in Discord servers. No, I don't have one you can join to talk to me in publicly, but there is no reason for me to pretend that I don't use Discord at all and call everyone an obsessed weirdo for thinking that I do. I think that had he just come out and said he has no interest in using Discord socially for anything other than moderation, nobody would have cared. But since he lied and tried to convince everyone that it didn't exist in the first place, people got upset when they found out the truth. Because this is just yet another example of DSP outright lying and then being caught in said lie. It's also another example of DSP setting himself up for failure by putting himself in a situation that didn't even need to exist in the first place had he just told the truth.
Oh, is that it? He's already moving on from that? Yeah, so if he is moving on from that, FYI, I found out later, and this is something that I can't provide evidence of, okay? I can't. I wish I could, but this is, some person who was insider in this situation provided me the evidence, and now I know what happened, because that was 2021, so over 3 years ago this happened, okay? So in 2021, my detractors decided, because they saw how culture was changing, correct? Me, when I started on YouTube, culture was very different. Look at the jokes and shit that I was making back then. In 2021, everything was changing. Everything was, as people are saying, it went woke, correct? And because of that, what my detractors decided to do was put together a compilation reel package of some of the things that you could say that I said and did back in the past that were very risque and considered bad, right? I mean, we saw one of them where I got kicked off of Blip TV for that Dead Space 2 joke, correct? But there's many other examples of that from back in the day, okay? So literally what they did, they made a compilation of it in videos, in like folders, and they sent it en masse to the reporting places for the things that I was working with. So they sent it to Twitch TV. They sent it to all of the streaming services that I was using to take in contributions during live streams and have pop-ups come up. They sent it to Teespring, my merchandise store, all of this, okay? Now, the funny part about all of this is the stuff that they sent to them was ancient. This wasn't like, oh, Phil just did something bad in 2021, and this is what's being reported. It was actually like, stuff from the past.
Seriously, when is he going to realize that if he isn't able to provide any evidence, that he's wasting his time and effort trying to explain anything? He's a confirmed liar. He lies about things that don't even matter, like having a Discord. So why in the hell would anybody believe there was some sort of insider that made him aware of this mythical dossier of hate? No evidence for the escort saga, no evidence for this, and no evidence for WWE champions. You'd think that at some point point he would start keeping some sort of documentation on all of these odd situations that he finds himself in. But why would a liar keep evidence of their own dishonesty? It does seem kind of self-defeating.
But if we look at the spreadsheet, between the 22nd of April, which is when he was departnered, and May 6th, when he made the announcement, he already made $5,797 solely from tips.
And again, that's bullshit, because that doesn't factor in people charging back. That doesn't factor in the fees associated with PayPal, currency conversions, and the fact that tips usually are spoken for. Tips go towards, for example, the groceries, buying games, paying certain utility bills, you know, food, when we order out for the day. Well, actually, I don't know back then if we were ordering. In 2021, I think we were. So for the day off, once a week, I order a meal, and it's, you know, expensive meal, the one time a week we don't cook. All that stuff is paid for with the tips. The income coming in behind the scenes, meaning the Twitch income, was paying the bills, like the mortgage, the car payment, all of that. So basically, they took away the payment that I needed to pay the biggest bills, the staple bills, right? Now, could I stretch the $5,700 that I had made within that month to pay everything? Kind of. But I mean, my mortgage was almost $2,000. My car payment was like, I want to say $400 or $500. Car insurance, you know, basically almost all the money is spoken for. Now, how do I keep my business running, right? Because they took all this income away from me. So again, this is like a nickel and diming situation. Oh, well, we know everything that Phil needs money for and stuff. No, you don't. No, you don't, and you never will. So you don't know what you're talking about here, but let's continue.
He's so angry about this spreadsheet not being 100% accurate, like they aren't just going off of the information that he's giving out. If he's that pressed about it and he doesn't want people to think that he's doing better than he is, a weird thing to want, by the way, then he can just provide all of the information himself, with evidence this time, of course. I don't expect him to do that, obviously, and I don't think that he should do that. But like I said, if he's that upset, he'd out himself. Now, despite him saying that the number isn't accurate, he ran with the 5,700 numbers, so we will too. The idea that this dude spends more than $5,700 a month just on bills is insane. As a household owner and operator myself, that number is just ludicrous. The only thing that could justify that kind of spending is poor financial decisions and living in an area you have no business living in to begin with. $2K a month to live in a triplex the way he does is incredibly dented, given that he could have lived anywhere in the world and continued to make the same content and therefore the same amount of money through YouTube. I've always said it's never made sense to me why he wanted to live near Seattle instead of the middle of nowhere in some small town for a fraction of the cost. He's not a social type, he doesn't go out and do anything, so living in a small town and being a regular at some rinky-dink little diner should have been right up his alley.
I have no other income apparently, because it sounds like Twitch isn't going to pay me for last month. I'm going to pay my bills, pay my mortgage and everything, because I'm not going to get that payment I depend on every month. You know, fundraising to pay my mortgage, to pay my back taxes, and the stuff for the rest of the month. As for the mortgage, yes, I hope that things go well, and I can pay my mortgage on Saturday. Please support this marathon stream. I need the help. In particular, I need it for tomorrow for my mortgage. So if you can, this is so fucking embarrassing because you know, I'm looking at it right now. It's hurting me, man. Do you think I wanted to act like that? Do you think I wanted to do that? If they didn't fuck with my partnership, I never would have had to do this stuff. I only had to do it because they fucked with my income. I mean, is there not like an iota of like emotion or sympathy or even like moral feeling that, gee, they literally took away a major source of Phil's income, so he had to e-beg like a loser to make up for it? But did I cause that? No, I didn't. My detractors did. They're the ones who caused the behavior they don't like, okay? If they didn't fuck with my YouTube channel in 2015 with the false copyright strikes, I wouldn't have had to delete so many videos, get thrown out of the algorithm, have a giant decrease in views, a giant decrease in money, that then caused me to go into some of the financial stress that I went into. By no means am I saying that's the only source. It's one of the primary sources, though, all right? If they're not fucking with me at every turn, my income left, right, up, and down, then I won't have to e-beg. I literally have to e-beg when they fuck with my income. It's not I e-beg first. I didn't even start asking for any contributions in my content until they fucked with my income. I literally just made videos. That was it. It wasn't every stream. For years, I streamed from 2013 through 2017. That's 4 years. I didn't have super chats enabled. I didn't have any, and you know what I'm saying? I didn't have any of that crazy stuff. That all started when I had to become a full-time streamer because they kept fucking with my income so badly. And the adpocalypse as well. It was going hand in hand, all right? But this is ridiculous. This spins it like the reason that Phil sat there and e-begged is because he was pathetic and greedy. He already made $5,000 in tips. So obviously, dude, they literally kicked me out of the partner program for what the trolls did. I had a lot of income lost. I had to make it up somehow or I was going to lose shit. Like legit. I wasn't going to be able to pay my stuff.
The fact that he says I had to e-beg is just insane. There is no had to about it. Sure, detractors put him in that situation, supposedly, but it was Phil that decided to do the begging. He could have gotten a job. He could have done anything else to get the money other than stick his virtual tin cup out there, but he didn't. He just has no shame. If it was that bad, if he was really that destitute, he should have kept his self-respect and called it quits online. And it's for that reason that he deserves to be embarrassed over his behavior, because he's constantly choosing to put his burden on others instead of taking care of the issue himself by going and getting an actual job. That's the aspect that is so egregious to me. I'm not going to feel bad for anyone who refuses to take responsibility into their own hands and try and make the best out of a bad situation for themselves.
It is important to remember that it was not just detractors, fans, or uninteractive viewers from both sides that were paying attention to Phil.
Because we've shown you that these new items and abilities
This I didn't even know about until someone told me about it. I had no clue this had even existed.
lots of different gameplay in the different levels. The flow is motivating, and most importantly, we can actually use that motivation to prioritize exploration. Here's a quick example. I want you to watch what the player does here as he boats around.
What's hilarious is they blur my face out. Oh, you can't see it because I'm blocking it? Hold on, I'm gonna remove my camera for a second so you guys can see this. This is them clipping me playing God of War 2018, and they blur my camera out. Why? Why blur my camera out? Anyway.
Taste of Vanir magic led him to new forms of experimentation.
We're back.
New levels of depravity.
The top 3 comments on this video read, quote, "The unstoppable force of nature that is DSP single-handedly making the gaming industry worse by simply playing games."
I don't even get it. What does that mean? I don't understand what the reference was because that wasn't the full context, right? What was that? So what they're showing is something about game development, and they used my video as an example of how the game development worked, and it helps the player, and that's a bad thing? I'm lost. No, I don't get it. If someone can ever explain that to me or break that down in basically how that's a bad thing, I mean, is that not a good thing? That they were showing, here, we put something in the game to help the gamer along their way so not to get lost. It motivates them to do things, and here's how it was implemented. Here's a gamer actually doing it. How is that a bad thing? And the unstoppable force of nature that is DSP single-handedly making games industry worse. Why? By them putting in things that make games more fun? I mean, what are you talking about? They are dumbing games down, and you are the target audience. What there showed the game being dumbed down? I don't understand that. I was riding the boat. There was an indicator on the shore that you needed to go there to do something. I saw the indicator as intended, went to the shore and did it. How is that a slight against me, a slight against the game? It doesn't even make sense. What?
Imagine thinking there's nothing wrong with being the least common denominator. He's actually taking pride in the fact that they have to handhold and bubble wrap in every game now for people like him to be able to succeed. Even the way that he describes the situation in the game is next level, because he basically describes himself like a rat to cheese. At no point during his own defense does he sound like a real person with independent thoughts. And the fact that he doesn't understand how this is dumbing down video games as a whole is the icing on the cake. He has always been a casual gamer, so I shouldn't expect him to care, but you'd think, as much as he claims to have passion for the hobby, that he'd at least care a little bit. He always wants to see games be unique and groundbreaking, but he's the one going out of his way to encourage these developers to develop them into glorified walking sims just so that he doesn't have to actually have any challenge while playing them.
In September 2020 alone, the month the vest streak ended, he spent $258 on alcohol. These are all reasons why Phil cannot state his bank account was accessed, because it would simultaneously prove that he is an alcoholic with a gambling addiction.
Which is, I mean, so ridiculous. I've already told people I'm an alcoholic, you know. But anyway.
Over $250 on alcohol in a month is a ridiculous amount. There's no way around that. It doesn't matter if you're an alcoholic or not. But every time I've heard him talk about being an alcoholic in the past, it was while he was in Connecticut. It was back in the day when he was playing video games all night to pump videos out. These transactions were during the vest streak in 2020. He was already married to Kat and living in Washington. Those are the factors that he's always mentioning when talking about how he's happier now than he's ever been before. So why was the drinking, or at least the purchasing of almost about $300 of alcohol in 1 month during this time? Nobody who's living a happy and successful life is drinking $300 worth of alcohol in the span of a month. I hate to break it to you. And I'd like to take the time now to go full screen and address DSP in his Bank Leaks coping segment, because I'm not going to play any of it. Why am I not going to play it for you, you might be asking? Well, to make a long story short, it's because it's a huge waste of time. He just sits there for an extended period of time saying that he's already admitted to the Champions account and that the transactions released in the Bank Leaks don't add to or corroborate anything. It's just the same song and dance that he's been spewing for years at this point. Anyone familiar with the bank leaks can cross-reference places he said that he was on specific days with purchases made on those exact same days in those exact same locations. Like I said, the whole segment was a waste of time, but I didn't feel right not including anything about it, but he didn't really provide any new information.
While the VTuber properly solves a puzzle with the items laid out, Phil bumbles through and solves it in the wrong and most difficult way.
And it's fine, because that's how I do everything in life. That's literally how I do everything in life. You can lay everything out in front of me, and I'll do it. I'll still do it, but I'll do it in the most hard and difficult way, right? I could have had an easy ride through the YouTube living. No, I had to do it the most hard and difficult possible way, right? Like, that was expected of me that I would do it. But then the funny part is, if I come up against something that's incredibly difficult, somehow I'll just, like, do it right away. That also happens in video games. Like oh my god, it's like the hardest boss of the game. Phil beat it in 2 tries. Look at the end of Sekiro. My god, it's like the hardest boss FromSoft ever did. Phil beat it in, like, 10 minutes, right? You know, in life, I'll say this. Variety is the spice of life, and variety is key. The more variety you have, the better life is. If everyone did everything the same way and acted the same way, life would be incredibly boring. I'm happy to be someone who breaks the mold, even if it's doing things in an incredibly stupid way. At least I do it in an entertaining way, right? So there you go.
That's not a good thing though. Being hard-headed and stubborn is not something to really be bragging about if you know you're making things more difficult for yourself. And if that really is his mentality, then he has no right to be upset when people don't want to deal with him anymore. You don't get sympathy when you cry broke and poor, all while you're trudging through life, not stopping to think about how much damage you're doing to yourself. And he all but outright states that he's relying on his pig roach luck just to get through life. I just couldn't imagine being this shameless about all of these character flaws that he has.
And in the middle of all this, he made a terrible mistake.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome. Oh, this wasn't a terrible mistake at all. This is when people saw WWE champions on my phone, which again is like, all right. At this point, this is what 2022, 2020. I don't even know when this is. This is 2022. It's definitely 2022 because they asked me about this during the Side Scrollers interview. Right at this point, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I just don't really care that much anymore. You get to a point where it's like, so what? Did I play it? And then immediately someone called me out on it and says, what was that? And I said, it was WWE Champions. I like right away the next day, I said, yeah, that was WWE Champions. If I really cared, wouldn't I have like pulled the video or said, you know what I mean? I didn't care. At this point, you get to the point where you're so punch drunk, you know what I'm saying? You're so punch drunk over shit that you just don't care anymore. All right? You don't. And I got so punch drunk, I didn't give 2 fucks. That even had shown in the video. I was like, I don't care. I was looking at my cute Jasper Kitty in the chair. I didn't care about the stupid screen of WWE Champions over there. You know what I mean?
That's not what punch drunk means though. If you want to say you didn't care, go ahead and say that, but don't incorrectly use punch drunk while you do it. Of course, he has no business saying that he didn't care in the first place because people who really don't care about things don't continue to lie about it for years on end. Simply saying that you don't care doesn't make you look cool, and it most definitely doesn't make it instantly true. Because if your actions don't match your words, the only thing that you actually prove is that you're a liar and that your word can't be trusted, which is exactly what you've done.
Yet Phil gravitates more towards wild theories himself as a way to represent them and paint the tractor community poorly as a way to also dismiss the valid criticism. And this somewhat works with his fans who have been doxxed, are people with disabilities, are socially inept, or are just lonely.
Yeah, I think he has autism, and this is coming from someone who has it, because I've got a low level of autism.
Okay.
Asperger's, which...
What does this have to do with anything? He's interviewing someone who says they're my fan, who says they have low-level autism and thinks that I'm autistic. What does this have to do with anything? Right? Like, this is, like, the most superfluous part of the entire documentary, I think. Right now, this very moment, it's completely unverifiable what's going on right here. You don't know if this really is a fan or not. You know what I'm saying? What is going on?
I was quite curious how Phil would react to this part specifically, and I'm not at all surprised that he thought it was superfluous. He ranted and raved for how long at the Side Scrollers for not talking to his real fans, and when they told him no real fans stepped forward, he claimed that they were scared of being harassed. So June, being the kind guy that he is, a little too kind if you ask me, made sure not only to reach out to DSP's fans, but also mask them as to make sure that their identity was not known for harassment. You'd think that DSP would appreciate this, but no, of course not. All he heard was someone say that he was autistic, because his own ego was far more important to him in that moment than all of the work that had been done in order to make these dents safe.
Kind of get your reaction to this, okay? So
this is not a racial joke in any way, shape, or form. It's only formed in the form of a racial joke by those who want to make me look bad. There's nothing racial even described in the joke. All right, but let's play it and let's see.
This is yeah. So you know where this is going, and I want to watch this so we all understand what's going on here.
this quick.
All right, boys, prepare the slave trade. We're selling her right off for profit.
Put the kid in the vehicle. Stay with her.
That's right. She's too valuable to escape. She's worth lots of money.
Phil tried to.
It's a joke about child slavery in a slave trade. You may not even realize it. And you can say it's a bad joke. It's not a racial joke whatsoever. Did you know that here in Washington state, human actual trafficking is huge? It's a huge problem here in this state. So I read news stories about it all the time and stuff. And I make the joke, and it has absolutely nothing to do with slavery or the color of the person's skin. It has to do with like child trafficking, which is actually a big problem here. Okay. So I make the joke, and of course, immediately everyone misunderstands the joke and says, wow, that's terrible. How could you make the joke? And I was like, well, whatever. I already made it. Right? It wasn't meant to be offensive. Those are the kind of jokes that way back in the day you would make all the time. No one would care. Everyone would shrug it off and say, it's an extreme joke, because you laugh at that joke. Right? Some people would say it's bad, but it was like 1 out of 4,000 people would actually say something about that. Right?
Man, he couldn't get out in front of that fast enough, could he? I'm astonished that to this day, he still isn't capable of seeing how this joke can, and more than likely will be seen as a racist joke. You'd think though that if he was actually joking about child trafficking, that he would have said as much in the joke. He would have made that clear. But at no point did he. At no point did he mention trafficking at all, actually, just the slave trade. Of course, he tried to fall back on, well, back in the day, no one cared. But that joke didn't happen back in the day. It happened recently. Well, recently to when it was originally aired on side scrollers. And honestly, I think that you could still get away with that joke if you were funny enough. But that's the problem with DSP. He's just not funny or charismatic enough to get away with things like that.
And just so I personally, I will not share your name to anybody, but just between us.
Man, I had to think about
and vouch for you.
You can see it's going through my head. Like, well, how can I do this? How can I convincingly show him the situation? Because now you guys know the situation. I told you yesterday. I do not have ownership of the Down from the Rafters account anymore, right? All I have is my new stuff, my new account that I've had for a bit. And if I sent him that, he can easily say, well, this is no evidence of anything. This is just, you made a new account and this is what you're sending me to show me that you have a second. This could be a second account, right? Especially because keep in mind, at this time, I don't have the iPhone anymore. I have a different phone and everything. So because of that, I'm going to show him screenshots and shit that's not even tied to how people thought I was playing it on iPhone and everything. Like, I didn't really have anything I could show him on the spot that would prove anything. I'm thinking in my head, you heard what I just said? I can't do it right now. Maybe, but I can't do it right now, right? Because I'm thinking in my head, all right, maybe what I can do is show him the new account. I can show him how that ties to certain things at this freaking store. And then I could, do this and this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to put it together, the narrative in my head of how to do this right. Because I want to send him everything that makes sense and is convincing. I don't want to send him just a screenshot off. Okay, well, this is a different account, but this doesn't mean anything, right? I need to show him what I can show him, right?
He was doing all of that thinking about what he could show to Craig, but ultimately he didn't show anything, and that's what's most important here. Nobody cares about what he coulda, woulda, shoulda shown, because in the end, he didn't show anything. Gugats, in fact. But that's where I'm gonna stop the Side Scrollers interview segment, because there was quite a bit more, but it was all just a rehash of all of the things that he said to Craig during his interview, and I already commentated that during a live stream. For that reason, let's just get to Phil's final thoughts and put this whole thing to bed.
Basically, here's what I think, all right, about the documentary. It's very well done. It's definitely the best documentary that's ever been done on me. There's definitely things that are wrong in it, okay? I'm not someone who's going to go to June and be like, I demand that you change content in here, but this and that. A lot of the stuff that I know is wrong, all right, is basically stuff that I can't prove, correct? Some things I can. Like, for example, he says, oh, well, him showing anything to Craig after that DDoS attack or him going offline is not good anymore. That's not true. Craig outright admitted today, he said that I could send him stuff after the fact. So that's factually wrong. That's something that could be corrected. But I'm not going to sit here with a laundry list of things for June to correct, all right? What I will say is that this has been one hell of a ride down memory lane for me, all right? All the way up to things semi-recent. It's definitely not completely recent, correct? This is not representative of the stuff that has happened to me in my life over the last month. But I don't blame him. Did you really think he was going to change the documentary to represent what happened in the last month? So what has happened to my life in the last month? Okay? Let's talk about it. Someone gave me a chance
Okay, alright, that's enough of that. Of course, he had to run as fast as he possibly could to talking about his new boyfriends and the sudden wave of positivity, as he's been calling it. Just an incredibly lame way to wrap this up, but if that's what he gives us, I can't change that. Overall, personally, I think that June's doc was fine. I didn't love it, I didn't hate it. DSP's React, on the other hand, that was kind of a rough watch, I won't lie. But I want to thank you guys so much for watching. I hope to see you guys in the next video as I continue to follow the guy. Stay safe, and goodbye.
It went woke, correct?